As a small biz pro, so we grow using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Crystal
and Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And this is Women's History Month. This is the last leg of it. We got 6 more days to go, and we're milking every minute of it. So, Crystal, how you doing?
that we are, and we're finishing up this month with a really heavy hitter, Miss Karen Blackwell. She is amazing, a business advisor, and you just guys, when you hear her story, she has been passionately working with small businesses, and when she was in her corporate world and now in her second act. So we're very happy to have her. So she'll be here shortly. We're at the end of March. It's been moving quite rapidly, Gilbert. This year is
Yes.
already on the go.
Can you believe that?
I know. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it was
busy.
just like last week, it was December, and now look at that, March. The first quarter is ending already. Unbelievable.
The first quarter's ending already. We're heading into the second quarter, and taxes are going to be due next month in
Oh, Lord.
a week or in 3 weeks, and then we head on into the summer, and it is just like moving at rapid speed.
Then next thing you know, it's a fall, and before they know, it's Christmas again. That's the end of the year. Holy Lord.
Yeah, it's like the world is saying, "Let's hurry up. We got things to do," and you're like, "But hold up. It don't have to. Do we have to? Do we have to be at rapid speed to get there?"
Unbelievable, man. This world is moving so quickly.
Hey, Gregory Sneed, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Gregory is here. Hey, Greg, how you doing, man? How you doing? Time is marching on, brother. Come on.
Oh, yes, it has. The weeks just go so fast. You look up, it's Monday, and then you look up, it's Friday. It's like, wow, it's almost too fast.
See, I get confused sometimes, Crystal. Sometimes I get so confused. I don't even know that it's Thursday or Friday. That's part of the reason I've been missing some of your community briefings.
Well, those keep me on track, right? Because I know on Monday I do this show with my friend Javon, Conversations on the Patio. So I know that's Monday.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday, and then Tuesday I have Zumba, and then I have a class on Monday that I teach. Wednesday I could miss it. But Thursday is the community briefing, and then Friday is our show, and then Saturday is tennis. That's how I stay on track.
That's your calendar right there.
That's my calendar.
Greg said sometimes.
Greg said, "Wait a minute. When was he came to the very first one, Greg? 2 years ago, he came the very first one.
Was it that long? Dang.
Yeah, it was that long.
I thought it was a few months ago, man. Was it that long? Holy moly.
2 years ago. That's the last time that you popped into the community briefing. First and last, actually.
The first and last. To all of our viewers who are just tuning in right now, this is the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We're on every Friday from 3 to 4, or we'll extend it to 4:30 if it's interesting. So, Greg, you better make it interesting today. If you guys want to join the show, you want to go to YouTube, and you'll see the little bell there. Go to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert at YouTube, and then you'll see a little subscription button. You click on that to make sure you get all notification from us, and make sure you know what's coming up on the program. We may have goodies that we're giving away, So by you subscribing, you will get notification on that. So that's what it is. And we're also on Facebook, and Crystal will tell you guys how to get in on the program. So Crystal, you want to share with them?
So you can go over to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button, and you will be in tune for whenever we are on air. And Gregory is going to leave us to go to see the NCAA basketball. Man.
Boo, boo.
But speaking of Women's History Month, Gilbert, did you
Yes.
watch any of the hearing for Judge Brown, Jackson Brown?
I only
Brown
watch
Jackson?
little snippets, man, with those little idiots taking cheap shots at her. It bothers me so much. It's unbelievable, man. This whole Congress has become such a joke. They're not
Yeah.
serious about what they're doing. They play these little games. It's like when you're in high school. In your high school and you do all these little things
Yeah.
to each other. That's what it is. So I'm just so turned off. I'm disenchanted.
Yeah, it was. Oh my God. But the lady, I mean, that is definitely the example of Black excellence, knowing that we have to go that extra distance, extra
Yeah.
mile. We have to be able to self-control. Because I read an article this morning that said, when Kavanaugh yelled and screamed and looked perturbed with all the questions he was being asked,
Yeah.
we can never afford to do that, right?
Yeah. Right.
Because we come off as angry,
Yeah.
out of control individuals. And so she held her own. I tell you,
Yeah.
that sister is a bad mamma jamma,
Oh yeah.
because I was telling my sister, my own personal sister last night, I was saying, I would have lost everything. That would have been it. I would have had to pack up and move to another country, because I would have cursed them from one side and down that other and back up. There is just no way I could have handled that, especially on day 3. They went into triple overdrive on day 3.
Yeah.
Ted Cruz was yelling at her.
He's an idiot.
He was screaming at her, asking dumb questions. At one point, they asked her, could she give them a definition of what a woman was.
Yeah, exactly. That was so stupid. And I saw that, and she just stared at them. I love it. She just stared at them. She go, you don't know what a definition of a woman is? Okay, I won't be educating you on that.
Right, exactly. She was like, Greg, we'll see you the next time. She gave you that look. She gave that look, Gilbert. I don't know if your mother ever used to give you that look.
Oh yeah.
When you
Oh, yeah.
you were crossing over the line.
Yeah.
And Black women and Black mamas and Black grandmas have a look. And that look says, I dare you to put your toe over that line. I just dare you to put your toe over that line. You're going to regret that for the rest of your life. And you see that look, and it just makes you straighten up. And you're
Yeah.
like, I think I may have crossed the line. I need to back up.
Mhm. Yeah.
Start apologizing, back out the room.
Yeah. 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 Those guys are ridiculous, man. That whole little team right there, they're just like a carnival show,
Yeah.
So they're trying. I know what they're trying to do, though. They're trying to make her lose her cool, so they can say, see, I told you, and that's what they're trying to do, but it's not working. So
Yeah, no, come on, she's a judge. She
yeah.
knows how to hold her cool in
Yeah.
a courtroom. She's
Yeah.
dealt, and it's not the first time she's worked in a all white law firm, and
Yeah.
just being who we are, and
Right.
especially as professionals, is not easy for us sometimes, and
Mhm.
a lot of times. So she knows how to play the game. So she did an excellent job. I'm so proud of her. I
Yeah.
think this morning I heard that she probably would be
Confirmed.
confirmed. I think there was a Democrat and a Republican. We already had the majority, so she will be confirmed. But just to take her through that, so that I know though when she went home she probably had to have a stiff drink and she probably had to go into the closet and scream. I hope Michelle Obama had a conversation. Maybe she went to dinner with Michelle and
I'm sure they
she
talk.
gave her some
I'm sure.
extra.
I'm sure they talk. I'm sure they talk.
Yeah, because it's rough. It was it was rough. I was having problems this week.
I told
Uh,
you, Crystal, at one point I was thinking of running for political office, right? I
mm,
wanted to become a city council member.
mm,
And after seeing all the crap that goes on in LA and Alhambra and all of that, I said, you know what? I'm not gonna do this because they dig up stuff on you, man. Stuff that don't even exist. They
yeah.
fabricate and they put it out there, and that's all the public wants, you know, like especially the news media to start
Mm-hmm.
plastering it all over the news, and then that's your reputation. You're smeared forever for life.
Yeah.
So I said,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm not gonna do this. I'm
Yeah,
not.
public office would not be for me. I don't have I love people,
Yeah,
but there is a side of me that doesn't have the temperament for that.
yeah,
And so I know that and I would actually stop enjoying what I do.
yeah.
So no, I fully understand you. Did you see I'm gonna switch subjects just for a few minutes before we bring on our amazing guest. So the royal couple, the royals went to Jamaica.
No, when did
You
they come?
they're on a Caribbean tour right now.
Right now? I
Right
love
now.
it. I
And
love it.
they came into to Belize, and then they came to Jamaica and the Jamaican what are you guys, president or prime minister?
Prime Minister.
Prime minister has
Yeah.
told them that they were applying for Jamaica to become its own republic. They
Oh
are no
yeah?
longer want to be part of the Commonwealth and be under the thumb of the royals
I
of
love
England.
that.
So Jamaica is going independent.
Well, we have been independent since 1962. We broke away from Britain back then before we kicked the British soldiers' ass in Jamaica.
But
Then
you must have been still were you still part of the Commonwealth?
no, we really weren't. I think the other country you mentioned, which one is
Brazil,
it? Belize.
Belize.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they probably were a part of that.
Oh, okay.
So that's probably where they were coming from. But yeah, Jamaica's been independent since 1962, man. We've been doing our thing, and that's why America decided to be such jerks to us and lend us money at like 24, 25% under the International Monetary Fund program.
Ah.
Because they're still trying to keep us, enslaved.
Mm.
So our previous prime minister, Michael Manley, he wanted to establish what they call a Caribbean Basin initiative, where all
Okay.
the Caribbean nations come together and be self-sustaining, where they didn't have to rely on America or England or any of those. But as you know how it is with
Yeah.
our people. We're fighting against crab in the barrel, right? So we're fighting against each other. So we couldn't come to an agreement on that. So that was
Oh,
just a
okay.
big disappointment. But I like the fact that the Royals went. And the reason I like that is the fact that they're breaking away from that old monarchy type uh, operation. Like the old
Mm.
school ones, they want to have things done the old way. These
Right.
younger ones, they're seeing things differently, and that's part of the reason why I embrace these millennials a lot, because they see things differently. They want to approach it, and the same thing with the Royals right there. You
Yeah.
know, they're gonna be because you remember what's his name there uh the Markle's husband. What's his name?
Oh, Harry,
Harry.
Harry.
Harry. He went to Africa and all those countries. He and his mom, right? He started with his mom, right? They
Right.
went to Africa. They were helpful to the people, doing all those things for them. So them going to the Caribbean is like, taking that next level. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Well, it
I
says
love that.
that they when they got there and they took this tour of the Caribbean kind of in honor of the Queen's Diamond Jubilee,
Yeah,
and they were screaming, they're calling for slavery reparations,
yeah,
and they want to accelerate their moves to ditch the queen as
Yeah.
the head of the state.
Yeah.
And so that was in Belize, that was in Jamaica, that was Bahamas. So this tour has not gone well.
Mm-hmm.
Because the islands are going, no, you guys seem to forget that, which is true. They were
Yeah.
the ones that really initiated
Yeah.
the slavery trade.
Yeah.
And then it just, so America was not the only place where slaves were. Yeah, they said, Karen says in news is saying that the Jamaica is removing the queen as the head of state.
Interesting. Oh,
Yeah.
I think I know why they're saying that, because we have a governor general, and the governor general operates underneath the auspices of the queen. So I think
Yeah,
that's
so
what
they're
that is.
that yeah, so that he wants to remove. They all are now wanting to be independent republics, but they want to remove the queen
Yeah.
as the head of state. So
Because
so
they've done everything. They've done everything. They printed their own money, even though the money is
yeah,
devalued. They've done everything to show independence except that part. So
yeah, so that's the
that's the
part.
part. Yeah.
So this didn't go so well. Their little tour is the world is different.
Yeah.
We are we're in a place that, one, just what we saw last week is
Yeah.
seeing that we can't be equal if we don't talk about
Yeah.
what creates us from not being equal.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can't keep sweeping the talk of slavery
Right.
and the inequalities underneath the carpet and think we're
Yeah.
going to create some equality. We're not.
Right.
We
Right. It
have
doesn't
to
work
talk
that
about
way.
that, right? So
Yeah. It
I
doesn't work.
like that the island, because at one point it seemed like we're the only ones were talking about slavery here in the
Yeah.
Americas.
Yeah.
But slavery took place in the islands. I mean,
Oh
they had
yeah.
to get there before they got to us.
Well, it started there first in the
Yeah.
Caribbean, because remember when they brought the slaves from Africa, right?
Mhm.
It took them months, and then
Mhm.
they would take them to the Caribbean. They
Mhm.
have that, they call it the slave trade. They have a triangle, right?
Right.
You got Jamaica, you've got I think it's Jamaica, Britain, and then America. I think that
Right.
was the triangle right there.
Mhm.
So somewhere around there, they had the slave trade triangle, and that's how they started the whole thing. And they were producing sugar and all of that stuff. It was just
Right.
unbelievable stuff.
Coffee and things like that. So
Yeah,
yeah, I always say to people, slavery didn't start in America. You had to get to the islands, to the
yeah,
Caribbean islands, before they got here.
yeah,
The largest number of slaves were sent to Brazil,
yeah.
while the largest number of Africans outside of Africa. So yeah, that's very true. So
And
with that, I'm
the
gonna bring
reason,
Karen on so she can be included in our conversation. So we're gonna bring Karen in because this is a good conversation, and it
yes,
just speaks to where we are today. So with
yes.
that, I want you all to welcome Miss Karen Blackwell, and she is a pleasure to have you, Miss Blackwell. She is a
Well, as
phone.
always, thank you, Gilbert, and thank you,
Well,
Crystal. It's
welcome to
an
the business
honor
zone.
to be here on Friday. Yes,
And as I've gotten to know Karen, I've met her through Recycling Black Dollars, and I just love talking to her. She and I have some amazing conversations. We
that's
we
true.
we don't talk all the time, but when we do, we like talk for an hour or 2 hours, and we solve the world's problems.
Well, I can tell you my story with Karen. When I first came to California, Karen was the person who was responsible for my very first job at the mayor's
Really?
office. I don't know if she
Oh,
remembers that.
Of course, I
Oh,
remember.
she remembers.
Of
Okay.
course,
So
of
I
course.
went over, she was working over in Carson at, I think it was a workforce development office.
No, I was still in the mayor's office at the time, Gilbert.
Uh,
I was over the Alameda Corridor
there
project.
you go, the
There you
Alameda
go.
corridor. There,
That's my
and
history.
and I walked into the office and I said, started telling her about it, all the wonderful things I did. She said, I may know of some place that could use your services. I was shocked to hear that, because I was expecting to hear a regular no, because all the people I went to, I hear no, no, no. And she said that. I'm going, damn, really? And
Mhm.
then, she did her magic, did her little thing. And next thing you know, that's where I was, at the mayor's office. So, Karen, you are responsible for me being here in California, and I'll never forget that. Never forget that.
I'm kind of laughing because I'm sure there's some people who are mad at me for that.
Uh
But
oh.
I say that you have been a tremendous asset to the entire community, and thank you for your service, Gilbert.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And see, I only knew her when I met her, she was at Nestle. So I did not know her
Oh, that's
vast.
when you met her at
That's when I
Nestle?
met her. So I didn't
Oh
know
man,
her
we go
vast.
way back then. We old school. We go way back.
Yeah, her vast,
Well, that
vast.
and you know,
So tell us
I
about
was
yourself, Karen.
well. I was going to say, my dear friend was Mohammed Nasruddin.
Yes.
Yeah,
You know, the founder of Recycling Black Dollars,
yeah.
and actually, Mohammed and I, we weren't at the same school at the same time because I was there for summer programs. He was there as a regular student, but we were both from Philadelphia, and there is a really an amazing high school called Dobbins High School in Philadelphia, and he was a student there, and I was there for algebra classes, and
Okay.
the teachers were amazing. They were amazing. They were. It was a class that specialized. It was a school that specialized in trades, and the
Mm.
people who went to that school, like, they did amazingly well. And the
Mm,
teachers were really, really good teachers. And so when we met here, and you're connecting the dots and the connect,
Oh, wow.
geography. It's a different version of geography, and like you put all the dots together. Then we
Mhm.
realized that we had both been at the same high school. And
Oh, wow.
then Muhammad and I, we went to China together. We took a
Oh, so you were
delegation.
part of the China trip.
Well, it's a little different than that because I was in the
Okay.
mayor's office and I had the International Trade Initiative for Minority Businesses. So I was the one that organized that. And then
Oh,
Muhammad,
okay.
right? So Muhammad was part of that delegation. There was a gentleman by the name of Simon Tung who organized it to take us to a conference in China called the Mega City Conference, and it was for cities that had populations in excess of 10 million people. And you go, well, how did Los Angeles fit? Because when you put together the Los Angeles area,
yeah,
you really do come up with that kind of a population, a mega city population. So
yeah.
Muhammad was there, I was there, Karen Price was there. I mean, it was a real special, really special treat.
I have to go back and look at the picture then, because there's a picture that of you guys all there, and I guess I never tied it in that you were part of that. Obviously, initiated it, and so I see Kern there, and I see Muhammad. Now I'm gonna go back and look at that picture.
Yeah, I'm the one
And
sitting next to the vice president. I'm
okay, okay,
I'm the one.
you're the one.
I'm the one
Definitely.
representing the city of Los Angeles. But
Okay.
maybe that's a great segue into Women's History Month because
Yes,
we're
yes,
overlooked.
We're
We
yes,
do so
overlooked.
much heavy lifting.
yes.
Right,
And
exactly. And
yet
that's
when the story's told, we're like an asterisk.
right,
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
seldom do we really get the credit for what we do, how we do it. And that's why I think it's important that there is a Women's History Month and that it's an opportunity to be quiet for a minute and to see all of the great things the women in Los Angeles and across the country and around the world are doing and
Right.
have done, and the
Hmm.
platforms that they're putting forward to make sure incredible things happen for the next generations to come.
And I
Well,
think we do it so quietly in the background. We don't always, we're not always doing the rah rah. This is what we're doing, drawing the attention. We're just doing what we feel is the right thing to do. And that's why we just said at the beginning, we could not have had a better person close out Black Women's History Month than you, Karen, because I think, like, if the things that you've done. And when now that I know all that you've done, I'm just an honor to know you because it's
Her
just so
footprint,
much more. Her footprint is
her
so
footprint is
embedded in
all
this
over
city.
the city, all
Yeah.
over the city and the county.
Yeah.
And
Well,
one of the things,
actually, I have to tell you that while I was in the mayor's office under Mayor Han, not only did we have a minority business delegation that went to China, I only went on one of the delegation tours. We actually had two.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we took a delegation down to Belize and met with the vice president there and participated in a like a trade conference there and had meetings to talk about business. And then the other place that we took businesses to with a trade mission is to South Africa for an investment conference.
wow,
Wow.
And we took local businesses. There were only 3 or 4 businesses that came from the Los Angeles community. And I was laughing. Somebody asked me, Al Washington, do you know? And I was like, oh, of course. We went to South Africa together and tried to negotiate a airport in Limpopo. So, I mean, there are great businesses here. There's an awful lot of thinking about what needs to be done at not just a local level, but a national level and eventually a global level. And what does that look like? How can that be accomplished? And what are the steps that need to be taken? What's the infrastructure that needs to be in place so that those kinds of things can happen
Mm.
and can happen with success? I mean, I was part of a group that took businesses to Cuba.
Mm.
So we went to Cuba. So I mean, all right. So we went to Cuba. We went to Belize. We went to China. We went to South Africa, and each time it was to help local minority-owned businesses see what the real horizon looks like, because we can get so caught up thinking that the world is Los Angeles or the world
Mm-hmm.
is Los Angeles County
Mm-hmm.
that we lose sight of the fact that the competition is in fact global and that the opportunities are in fact global.
you know,
And
Mm-hmm.
what does it take to get there?
I would like to add this that, I worked at the Minority Business Opportunity Committee at the mayor's office. And when I was there and I listened to folks who were there before me, they never did trade missions to foreign countries like that, unless I'm missing something. But
No,
Karen became the executive director of that program, and she was very instrumental in making those things happen, taking small business. And after I left, I was kind of jealous. I'm going, man, I want to be back there to help too, be a part of these trips. But she was phenomenal, and you don't hear much about that. And I'm glad you're talking about it right now, Karen, because you accomplished a lot. You accomplished a lot. And, a lot of people don't give you your flowers for that. So I'm giving you your flowers right now.
thank you. Thank you. I think the issue that we have with Los Angeles and women-owned businesses and is that we really don't have a platform for that story, for there to be continuity. All
Mm.
right.
Yes.
So to do something once, it's good. To do something twice, it's great. Uh, I have been trying to put together different ways to take trade missions, even just as far as Canada, where we
Mm.
could look at ways in which our minority businesswomen would be able to understand what the opportunities are, to be able to partner with other women-owned and non-women-owned businesses
Yeah.
so that we can begin to increase the footprint. The problem is maintaining traction.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm.
maintaining continuity. And it's people being willing, like you said, Gilbert, to put our egos down to be able to get something done.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
That's the hard part about this environment, because you have to be willing to work in a thankless environment because
Yes.
90% of the time it will be thankless. People
Yeah.
will take advantage, people will use all the opportunities. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, for example, I was talking to a young woman who was saying, "Oh, well, Karen, she's telling me all about the Alameda corridor." And I was like, "You do realize that I was the director of that program.
Yes.
And you do realize that I was the director of both the small business program, which exceeded all goals and was
Yeah.
the largest public works project like that,
Yeah.
the job training piece and the local small business piece. Those were the parts. That was the largest public works project in the country at that time.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And,
That's good.
there are a lot of scars because people didn't really understand what it would take to be
Right.
able to do business at that level.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Um, I really do feel that the fact that I was able to finish up at a major corporation,
Mm-hmm.
the largest food company in the world,
Yeah.
and to look at how minority-owned businesses needed to understand how to become part of that supply chain,
Mhm.
it was critical. And here we are again when times are changing. Do not think that opportunity doesn't come from chaos because it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, as we look at what's happening in the Ukraine, as we look at what's happening in the realignment in the way in which people are going to be doing business,
Mm-hmm.
we have to, as minority businesses that aren't startups, because this is not the place for startups to play.
Right.
Mhm.
But if you're not a startup, you really need to understand what this global realignment is going to mean,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, why do I say that? Because a year ago, we were dealing with COVID and we thought that that was the thing that was going to upend everything.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But in a weird way, COVID was like, we're all in this together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're now in a different type of situation where new lines and new alliances are being drawn in the sand. So, what
Mm.
does that mean in terms of doing business? And it isn't just related to energy, it's really related to everything because everything is driven by energy.
Mhm.
So is it an opportunity for a local business to look at how they can expand their footprint by delivering better within this geographic area? And what is, again, I'm known for saying, and what does that mean? Because we can talk nonstop,
Mhm.
but if we don't really understand the implications of what this means,
Mm-hmm.
what are we doing?
Yeah.
Let me ask, Karen. So obviously, when you were doing that, the trade missions, what has happened that we actually do that again, or
Well,
are
of
we
course we can do it again. Now, I
okay?
mean,
What
we're
would we
doing
need?
it again in times of COVID, but one of the things that I was really excited about doing was to be able to use this kind of technology, right?
Mhm.
Because the whole point of taking trade missions was to go over and meet people.
Mhm.
Well,
Mhm.
now we don't need to go and meet people. We can meet. I mean, yeah, at some point it's always important to meet in person,
Mm-hmm.
but that initial finding one another, having conversations, all of that can be done now using technology in a way that eliminates the barriers of time and travel.
Right.
And it just seems to me that we have this incredible opportunity and we're not harvesting it. We
Yeah.
have a crop that's been planted and we're just letting it go fallow.
Mm.
If you
What
know about farming, why would you do that?
Right.
What do you think a composition of a team that could make this happen should look like, Karen? Because we're gonna need players from a lot of different angles to bring them together, right?
Well, the first thing you need is a visionary, right?
Right. That's
So,
Mhm.
you. That would be
right.
you.
I mean, I am the visionary.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then we begin to look at, we have to look at the way in which international trade started, because international trade started in an organic way.
Yeah.
What do I mean by that? Like Sandy and Sue and Frankie were going to go home, and their cousins called and said, "Bring us some blah, blah, blah."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And they took that there.
Mm-hmm.
And their friends, their cousins said, "We can sell this. Send us some more." And then when they came back, their friends here in the States said, "When you come back, bring us blah, blah, blah."
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's candy or clothes or something that reminded them of hometown.
Mm-hmm.
That's the genesis of it. So the first thing that I would think would be helpful if we were going to put together a strategy would be to identify people who have, like you, Gilbert,
Mm-hmm.
relationships already in other countries,
Right.
right? And
Yeah.
say, "Gilbert, is there a chamber of commerce that like we should talk to? Can
Mm-hmm.
we set up that phone call? Can
Yeah.
we find out what their people are looking for and what we're looking for?" And just in the beginning, have that kind of a conversation,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
So first we look at the people that we know, and there's so many of them that we know who are from other countries and would be happy to help us connect,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So we start like that. And then from there, we look at things like, do you remember the International Office of Trade and Commerce, Bobby Hines?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
whole office is designed to help American based businesses export.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to just export product.
Mm-hmm.
You can export intellectual property,
Mm-hmm.
you can export processes. And so once we begin to find out what is the desire, how can we have some just easy conversations with people and get to know them?
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that I learned that's different almost everywhere else around the world is that almost everywhere else around the world, people want to know you before they do business with
Yes.
you.
Mm.
Americans are extremely transactional.
Yes.
And Americans say, "I have this. Do you want it? I'm going to sell it to you." You go to other countries and they say, "Oh, let's have a meal.
Yeah.
Tell me about yourself.
Tell me about your
Tell,
family.
tell me about
Mm-hmm.
your family.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tell me about like your education. Where did you go on vacation?" People want to know you before
Yes.
they invest in the business.
Yes.
And most Americans, whether they're a minority, African American, it doesn't matter. We're not socialized to understand the value of that.
Right.
So we want to get to the meeting, we want to order the food, we
Mm-hmm.
want to talk about the deal.
Yeah.
And they think that is so rude. You didn't even ask me how my day went.
Right. 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 That's
Right,
true.
exactly.
That is
Yeah.
true.
So that means that in addition to having people who are interested, we need to reach out within our community and find people who are of that culture so that they can be the interpreter for us as
Mm-hmm.
to what needs to be done and how what we have and what we want to present needs to be showcased. So, that it would be a lovely thing to be able to have an international platform
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to take our businesses and help them navigate. I know that it's possible. When I was at Nestle, there was a minority business that was part of our supply chain who went from doing business just here to also doing business in Mexico. That's like the next step. And this was an African American owned business or
Wow.
led business that they moved into the market in Mexico. They moved into the market in Brazil. So it is possible. You have to have people who are very, very willing to share their expertise. And you have to have people who understand that it's not a transactional
Right.
Mm-hmm.
process. You really have to have a game plan and you have to play the long game.
I think that is so important, Karen, because a lot of our businesses the mindset that they have is all transactional. They don't
Right.
think about other things. They don't think about the relationship management aspect of it. They don't think about contract management aspect of it. It's all transactional, where you do transactional business, and then what? What's next? What do you do next? How do you nurture and maintain that relationship? So I think you're onto something here, and I really do think we should foster this. We should do something about. I'm willing, ready, and able. Just so you know, and I know my co-host Crystal is too.
Well, I
So
have a friend and a friend and a client. I met him about 20 years ago. We worked in the .com industry. I was at this .com that was just starting up, and they brought him in because he had a lot of ties into the entertainment and sports industry. So he always had a global mindset. His wife is from South Africa. She's a really good friend of mine. He at one point actually owned a club in South Africa. His dad traveled to South Africa and also had businesses there. So he is doing business. He's getting ready to. I'm working with him right now. Where he's trading on the penny stocks, but we're getting ready to gear up so that he's going to be trading on the Nasdaq. And so we're all going to go to New York and ring the bell. So we're working hard at that right now. But the companies that are under his which will be under the company's a public banner, is a company in Kenya. They have a technology company, cell phones in Kenya. He's built relationships there. In Ghana, there's a gold mine that he has. So he has gone out and made all of these relationships. He's in Dubai. He has an office in Dubai. So he's always thought big like that. And
Yeah.
and I always say to our small businesses, like, you guys are thinking so small. You're thinking like next door.
yeah,
And because of the internet, even during the pandemic, um, he was interacting online and so forth. Now he's traveling. He is in Dubai probably every other month, and he's been in Kenya and all over the globe actually. And I think when we look at our businesses, we could eliminate some of the challenges and barriers that we have if we were doing business outside of this country.
yeah, that's
I
true.
think so. I think that's an excellent point, Crystal and Gilbert. And trying to tie it again back to Women's History Month,
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
that in other parts of the world, the economic development of other parts of the world are really critically dependent on women becoming entrepreneurs in those environments and growing
yeah,
their
Mm-hmm.
businesses.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So I had someone that I knew here, again, that I met in the mayor's office, who went to Cote d'Ivoire, the Ivory Coast, Cote
Mm-hmm.
d'Ivoire,
Mm-hmm.
and had set up a mall. I was like, you built a mall? Like, how did you build a mall? That just seems so amazing. And then you know what I found out? That mall that was doing really well
Mm-hmm.
was what we would consider a swap meet. And
Oh,
women were able to bring their things that they were making
Mm-hmm.
and sell them at a table.
mm,
Now we think like, oh, a mall, a brick and mortar, and I gotta have insurance. For many people in the world, we do not value, we do undervalue what Black Americans know how to do in the
yeah,
United
Mm-hmm.
States.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Remember back in slavery, that's exactly how it got started. People would come together in the village square. This person will bring some goats, that person will bring a table, a cloth, and they exchange, they traded in the marketplace. Same thing, same thing. So we need to
Yes.
go back to that philosophy.
Well, yeah, I think what you're absolutely right. And when you look at many banks and foundations have established microloan programs around for women in
Yeah,
these
Mm-hmm.
other countries, because what do women do when they get the money? Women, when they get the money, pay for the education of their children, they feed the children, they clothe the children, they generally put it back into, it could be farming or crafts. That's what they do with the money. What do they need? They need additional marketplaces.
Yes.
They need
Yes.
people who can help them export.
Yeah.
What do they need from us? All of the know-how that we have, but we have to be humble when we bring that.
Yeah.
We can't be the one saying, well, let me tell you how to do it, and you're doing it all wrong. And da-da-da. No.
You don't know what you're doing.
Right? We have to understand what is it. One of my god sisters takes a group of artists to Senegal every year.
Oh, wow.
And they go so that they can learn the way in which color, the way in which art is integrated into everyday life in Senegal, and how that becomes part of the economy. Because again, we have African American artists and artists of color who are marginalized because they don't know how to integrate what they're doing into society. How do you do it? And if you go to other countries and you see what they're doing, you say, I hadn't thought about it like that.
Yeah.
So it's really being able to connect with the right people, go with the right intention, be willing to share, and be willing to learn, and have patience.
Yeah.
So when you ask me who is it that we need on a team, it's not the who so much as it's going to be what are the skills, what is the way of working that people that we know would be willing to invest. And it doesn't, I don't think it has to be done in like, just a goodwill versus, I mean, I think that this is all about commerce.
Yeah.
But commerce is not bad when we understand that there's value on both sides of the equation. It only becomes difficult when it's exploitation.
Yeah.
Women who are, and children that are making items for 3 cents that are then sold in Neiman Marcus for $40. That's exploitation.
Yeah.
So how do we begin to work with these people? Maybe and because it's Women's History Month, maybe we want to look at women-owned businesses and these organizations that are being set up all around the world. All around the world. I went to a co-op that was in Vietnam that had all of the small, but they were crafts that were created by women because everybody in Vietnam doesn't live in the big cities. There's some small villages, and those small villages still need to have economic incentives. So all I wanted to say is that maybe the people that we were hoping for, it's really us.
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
so at what time and when are we going to answer the call? And I'm hoping for newer people because, I'm
Fresh ideas.
I like the
young.
idea, like you're saying, women and especially in Africa and places like that, they don't have, and when we first started the Business Zone, when I would boost out the show, Karen, we would get a lot of traction from Africa. We still do. We get a lot of people, especially young Africans that are entrepreneurs that are looking to start their business, but they don't have the education or the technical assistance that we have here. I would love to teach in Africa. I would love to teach women how to be and take the information and the resources that we have to them. I was watching a documentary recently, and it was and I'm not sure if it was in Kenya or Ghana. It may have been in Ghana, but there was a village where the men are very patriarchal, right, and very domineering, and so the women had just pretty much got fed up with the whole thing, and so they became warriors in their own right, and they left the husbands because they didn't like the abusive relationships that they had, and they went to a new village that's all women, and they're making jewelry and selling it to the tourists, and that's how they're feeding themselves. They're now taking care of themselves. They allow men in order to have children because they want to be able to continue to procreate, but they can't come there with their macho stuff. They and it was, and this is a documentary, so this is really happening. And the women wanted to take control of their lives. They didn't want anyone telling them what to do with their bodies, telling them who they could marry, being mistreated. And so now they make these beautiful jewelry, beaded jewelry and collars and so forth, and they sell them to the tourists that come. And so every now and then they'll have a tourist that come in, maybe have a store or some sort of low retail business here in America or around the country, and then they create this trade between the two of them. They produce the products and then they sell them, and then they
And
get.
we help sell it. I think that's wonderful. And 2 years ago, I mean, this is the call is universal, the call is global.
Yes.
I was so lucky. I traveled with a friend of mine here
Mm-hmm.
who has created the International Samba Congress.
Oh.
And she invited me, and I went with her to Brazil. And you know, we went to Carnival. Well, Carnival is an enterprise,
Mm.
right? It's yeah, we go and we see it and we think it's like, you know, a parade. It is an enterprise.
It
It
is.
is
It
so
is.
much, there's so much commerce that's
Yes.
involved in it. But
Yes.
I also had an opportunity to go to the favelas,
Mm.
right? And to talk with women who are in the favelas, who are again looking for a better way for their children.
Mm.
And it's some places, and like you said, the documentary where the women have said, you know, enough and they've left the men. But in other places, you know, there still is more of a willingness
Hmm.
to work together.
Yeah.
We just have to find out who we can touch initially,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
how we can help share the opportunity.
Hmm.
And, you know, what we're really talking about is the African diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, yes, the ships stopped first in the Caribbean. The majority of the slaves, of the enslaved people, were
Mm-hmm.
sent to Brazil.
Hmm.
The numbers in the United States going into South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia is the smallest number of
Mm.
enslaved people.
Hmm.
We're the smallest number.
Yes.
We're lucky in that our history is such that we were able to demand our rights and get to the point of having the economic development that we have now.
Mm-hmm.
But we also realize, again, that if that's the diaspora, then that means those are my cousins.
Right.
Those are
Exactly.
all my cousins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How are we going to get past the artificial boundaries that have been constructed since then, whether it's language or culture?
Hmm.
And how can we begin to improve our lives? Which is what Recycling Black Dollars was all about, is
Exactly.
what the business zone is all about.
Hmm.
And I know that we weren't really supposed to take an international tour this afternoon. That was not your intent.
But we let this show flow the way it's
Well,
supposed to
we,
flow. We don't control it.
we were open because we know you come with I don't want to say a basket full of knowledge, but you come with a well full of knowledge. So we wanted to go wherever you wanted to go because there's still so much that we need to learn from Karen Blackwell, who has all these resources. And here's the thing, Crystal. She's very knowledgeable, but she's calm. You
Very.
remember we talk. You remember we talk on the show about speak softly but carry a big stick. That's her.
Uh-huh.
That's her right there. She has all this knowledge, but she doesn't come out and ruffle feather or step on anyone's throat. She just calmly,
And when she
yeah,
delivers it to you, that's why I love talking to Karen. Because when I come away, I have so many things going on in my
yes,
head. Because
yes,
she really ignites the ideas in your head and the
yes,
possibilities. I think because every time I finish talking to you, Karen, we will talk for an hour, and when
yeah,
we come away, we've had these profound conversations
yeah.
about business and and this is another one of those, and I just love talking to you, and you
All
do
right,
do it in a very soft voice, and,
yeah,
and it's just like
and
let
and carry
me
that
just
big
absorb
stick.
let me just absorb the information. But I like, years ago I asked Gilbert this, and I think we had Al Washington on the show in the
Mm.
early days, in the first, I think in our second year, and I wanted to know, why is it we're trying to make everything happen with a country that really doesn't want us, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
want to stop us at every gate that they can stop.
yeah,
Why is it we can't kind of shift and look from where we came,
yeah,
and starting with the Caribbean and moving on to the African diaspora?
yeah.
Why are we not doing business in that direction instead of trying to make stuff happen in and here?
You're right.
Well, let me say two things. Number one, it's not that America doesn't want us.
Okay.
That's not true. America, we are America's conscience.
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
We raised America's children.
mm-hmm.
We built America's buildings. We cooked, and all the food that they ate until 20 years ago, any restaurant you went in, it was black people in the restaurant. Uh, what the problem is here is us getting compensated for our knowledge, experience, and talents.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. What we don't recognize is that the first people we should be doing business with is one another.
Yes.
Ourselves.
Yeah.
That's where the disposable income is.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the opportunity to flourish is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we don't have barriers around currency or borders or treaties. And we undervalue our own worth. And
Mm-hmm.
until we really sit down and come to grips with that and understand that even if we just did business with one another, like if you could roll the clock back, but only part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could take all of the knowledge that we've gained because we've worked in corporate America, we've worked in banking, we've worked in all the institutions in the world, all of them now. We
Mm-hmm.
we have we have made it to the top of every type of organization. There is no knowledge. There
Mm-hmm.
is nothing in the United States that you can't find a black person who's not an expert. It
Right.
True.
is impossible.
That's
Right.
true.
So if we just got that and harnessed that,
Mm-hmm.
we would be the winners that everybody else knows that we are. And that's why they're like, what are you guys doing?
Mm.
You have everything. Why
Yeah.
don't you use it?
Yeah.
And we don't use it because we have been psychologically impeded,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
right?
How
Right.
do you think? How do you think we can break that stigma and begin that conversation, begin that process? How do you think we can do that?
Well, we're doing it. The fact that you guys have this show, this
Mm-hmm.
platform is invaluable. The fact
Mm-hmm.
that recycling black dollars has been around every bit of 20 years now
Mm-hmm.
and has a history. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that you guys are business coaches
Mm-hmm.
at organizations like Vermont Slauson and the Urban League where
Mm-hmm.
we're able to cascade this information.
Yeah.
It's not that we're not doing it. It's not that we have to start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing it, and we need to lift ourselves up and one another for the hard work that's being done.
I
Mm.
appreciate that. Appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Thank you so much. You're so
Now, Crystal, now you see why we need this village leader in our midst to help formulate this, this approach, this strategy that we're trying to do.
it, it's
She's got
interesting.
the wealth of knowledge, a very,
She This morning, Karen, I an opportunity presented itself. The um what's I was at a middle school this morning,
Mm.
and I was asked to participate in Career Day at Audubon.
Oh, yeah.
And
Okay.
so I went over, and the kids were absolutely awesome. But I went over to talk to them about business development and entrepreneurship, and the biz camp that I do with the
You do a
organization.
great job with the biz camp, Crystal.
yeah,
Thank
she
you.
does. She does.
So I went in, and the kids, they were just the little shiny faces. And so I was asking one kid, I was asking them what businesses had they thought about going into business. And so one wanted to open a car dealership, and the other one he wants to be a barber with his own barber shop. And we were talking about, and the teacher actually happened to be a retired hairstylist. So I was telling them about Recycling Black Dollars, or I mentioned that I was the co-director. And so the teacher's like, oh my God, explain to them what that means and why that's so important. And so I told them, Gilbert loves this. How many times the dollar recycles in other communities, right?
Yeah.
And so, of course, I asked the kids, I said, so after I told them about Asians and limited recycling in white communities and Hispanic communities, I said, so what do you think, or how long do you think the dollar lasts in the Black community? So one little boy says, oh, what? Maybe if that's 14 times, maybe ours staying 6 times. And I
Wow.
said, no, how about 6 hours? And he went, what?
Wow.
How can that be?
Yeah.
So when I went to explain what that looks like, he went, oh my God. And I told him, I said, so when you come into my class and you spend that month with me, you're going to come out woke when you come
Yeah.
out, because
Yeah.
I'm going to be talking about this. Not
Mhm.
that we can't spend dollars in other communities, but we need to make us a priority. And
Yeah.
I'm going to help steer you in the direction of how important it is for you to make your community a priority and make sure your dollar turnover. And their little faces just lit up. And I
Yeah.
said, so how many of you are joining me this summer? All of their hands went up. They're like, I want to come, I want to come. And so all three classes that I spoke in, it was the same reaction to them. And that's where, for me, that's where the magic happens with those little people. Because though we can't change all of our adults, they're set in their ways, but we can redirect and change our children's minds.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right. And for many of our adults, Crystal, you're right. But I also feel like, again, just going back to Black women and men,
Mhm.
what are the things that we hear the most? No, stop and wait.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
Wait, you're not ready.
Mhm.
Stop, you don't know what you're doing.
Mhm.
No, that's not for you.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So, I mean, when you're looking at people who've had to fight against that for
Mhm.
40 years, then you understand why they need special handling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They need somebody who's really going to listen to them and not from a position of, let me tell you how you're wrong.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They need more of, let me hear you as to how you're being successful, and now what can we do to increase that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
here's my story, because I know it's probably time for us to leave, but I just wanted to tell you that, okay, this is not a woman's story, but it is a story of a successful business for me to
Okay.
be successful. And this company is called Little Kittle Candleline, K Little Kittle Candleline. And when I first talked to the gentleman, he was like, everybody loves my candles. I think I might have told you this story, Crystal.
Yeah, me.
And
Yeah.
I said, well, why do you say that? And he says, well, because I get a lot of likes. And I was like, okay.
Mhm.
So now how can we turn that into like commerce, right? Because
Mhm.
likes are good, but you
Mhm.
can't go to the market with likes,
Yeah.
right? You can't buy your dinner with likes.
Can't take it to
Mhm.
the bank.
So we talked about sales and what it takes to get sales. And he, is really a creative person and a creative person who has been marginalized by
Mm.
the greater society, right? And so now he has an opportunity to do what he likes doing, do it well. He sent me pictures of where he is now because he has taken his candle line and he's doing pop-ups. He has taken it to the point where he's doing candle events. And
Oh.
so in March of last year when we met and he had likes, okay, to where we are now, and he's averaging now, and it's not groundbreaking, but he's averaging now, north of $4,000 a month.
No,
So
that's
he went
pretty
from
good.
nothing to now being at about, $48,000 a year. But the most important thing is what I learned from him was to listen to what his passion, what he
Mhm.
wanted to do, and
Yeah.
Mhm.
instead of telling him how that won't work,
Yeah.
which is what that's what most of our business owners hear,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
right? I really tried to listen to what he wants to do and say, well, okay, if it looks like that, then what would be a smart goal around that? What's measurable? How can we execute against that? How will
Mhm.
we know that you were successful with it? And that's what he's been able to do. He's an incredible photographer. I would have never known. He's taking pictures of his own work. He's going to be
Mm.
able to put that on his website. And I bring that up to say that, again, we're an incredibly thoughtful community. We're
Mhm.
very, very, actually, we try to be hard, but we're not. We're very, very, very like sentimental and
Mhm.
emotional and all of these things that are kind of twisted and used against us. But when
Mhm.
we are able to harness the power of the passion,
Mhm.
of the caring, of the stick to itiveness, of the willingness to succeed, we are able to take our business owners and help put them on paths that are more successful.
Mm.
People seek success.
Mhm.
They're not doing things because they want to be a failure. They're
No.
Right.
not getting up every day and going out there because they want to lose money. They just need guidance and how to do it better,
Yes.
how to
Right.
be more profitable, how to eliminate waste,
Mhm.
how to get out of their own head so that they're not blocking their own blessing and move forward.
And I think we should celebrate those. I would love to have that young man on the business zone so that we could celebrate his accomplishments. When you hear
Yes.
those wonderful stories, that's what
Mhm.
warms our hearts as coaches
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
advisors, right? Is
Yes.
because we see that they've taken the information that we provided for them and they've implemented it, and you actually see some matrix. You see the outcome of that,
Yeah.
right? And you watch that. I had a young man. He was a client. I think he came to me through the Urban League, actually. And this guy had been incarcerated for a great deal, 20 years of his life.
Wow.
But one of the things he came out of jail with, and he tells you the story, he came out with a business plan. And where he went into jail during the crack era, and he was, you know, the one mixing up everything. So now he said, hey, I can use those same skills but legally, and I can put together. And so he creates this very organic, holistic shea butter. And so he used his, when they come out of prison, they get like general relief. So his couple $100 a month. And he took that couple of $100 and parlayed it into his business to buy his jars, his raw
Right.
materials. So today he went
Good for
from
him.
riding the bus to buying a car to living in his own place, instead of one room or a halfway house, to his own apartment. He said he created his business for his daughter because he had missed all of her childhood, and now she was in her 20s and she was going on to get her degree. So they're now working the business together. He used to
That's
go. Is
fantastic.
that awesome? He would
Yes.
set up his little table outside of M&M on Broadway,
Yes.
and that's where he sold his products. And so today he's got a retail, he's a virtual store, and he's selling virtually, and I am so proud of him. And whenever I go to talk to kids, especially when we were doing live, I would take him, because he would tell children, especially if they're high schoolers in, I think I took him over to Dorsey and had him speak to the kids. He let them see that that life is not glamorous. This is what you miss out on. He said, when I went, he tells us the story, when I went to prison, there were pagers. When I came out, there were iPhones.
Wow.
And he
That's
said,
true.
so
Right.
you don't want to lose life like that.
Yeah.
You
Right.
don't want to
Right.
lose, because now I'm trying to catch up where
Mm-hmm.
you guys have been active. So you don't want to take yourself out of commission. He's an
Yeah.
Right.
amazing, but those are the stories that drive me to do what I do,
Yeah.
because I love it when I have success stories, whether they're adults or they're kids. And I'm sure, I'm for sure, Karen, I know you feel that way, because I've heard you
Okay.
talk about so many of the success stories for the clients that you've worked with. And you're right. We do. Our community needs special handling. And I remember when I would go to the capital, the raised capital meetings that all the banks would have, right? And I would see this whole panel of bankers, and they go into, we have all this money out there, and they're talking about all these great opportunities, and all you have to do is X, Y, and Z. And then they'd come to, but then you need, and as they started doing the tick off list, the check off list, the faces would go from to, oh my God, and then the heads were dropped down, the eyes were overcast. And I remember asking Byron Reed, I said, Byron, do you guys ever survey the audience and see what happens when you guys come in and they're all excited, and then by the time they walk out, their shoulders are all hunched over, like you've again told them no again, and they
No,
haven't even
again.
applied for anything.
Right. Right.
And he says, no, I never have. I said, next time you guys do one of these capital meetings, take a gander over the audience and watch what happens when you guys get to the, not maybe we can sit down and work around that. Your is hardball, credit, the 5 C's, right? No in between. No,
Well,
how do you
right.
overcome that?
Right. And it starts with no, you don't have it. Stop asking
Mhm.
and wait until I tell you you can do it.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Who wants it?
And
They don't want to do that.
that's just the gatekeeper. Once you get it to the underwriter, is another set of those no's you're dealing with. So it is unbelievable. And Crystal, I think it's so amazing what he said, that he never observed that before. How can you not observe? Part of management and leadership is observation. That's a big part of it. So when you're interfacing with people, you're interfacing with your clients, you observe them, especially when you share information with them.
Right.
You observe how they take that, how they process it, and how they respond to it. It's amazing.
It is absolutely amazing. But in the beginning, during the pandemic, when we were begging people to apply for the PPP, and we were begging them to apply for the EIDL, the reason they weren't doing it is because they didn't want to be told no. They
Exactly.
knew that,
Hard.
Because
yeah,
that's what they've been used to,
It's
mhm,
over
hard.
the years.
Rejection is hard.
it
Yeah.
is. It
I
is.
mean, Crystal, you and I mean, we've decided not to apply for certain programs just primarily because of those things, going, hey, we're not going to deal with this rejection. Then we get a big old blemish on our credit report. We're not going to do that. And many of the small businesses, they felt the same way. And that's why we got to find these different opportunities, these different ways of doing it. And part of what we're doing in this program, which, part of what I started at the Urban League is, the grant readiness, the business readiness, the loan readiness is to start putting them in contract readiness, is to put them in that position where they can start building their infrastructure and key items that they need in order to get from one level to the next, where they can receive that kind of assistance and support, and throughout that whole process, getting that technical assistance, getting that technical support. That's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. And all three of us here are very passionate about that, So we just want to keep telling those things. We want to keep advocating for our people that way.
Yeah. So may I just say that if I were going to say, if I were going to look at what the opportunity would be in two areas, one would be increasing the amount of business that we do with one another,
Mm-hmm.
and it would be opening the dialogue to the African diaspora,
Mm-hmm.
and looking at the opportunities for international trade.
Yes.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I would definitely be on board with that. I think there's so many more. There are a lot of opportunities, new territory. It's
You
just like,
remember, Crystal, we've been talking about this for 3-4 years now. Remember
yeah,
when we first had Al Washington on the program? And, because to me, that's like fertile soil there. There's fertile opportunities for us to really take advantage of. But maybe a lot of us don't know how. And that's kind of why, Karen, that's kind of why we're looking to you for some guidance in that area. I mean, you've been in those situations, you've been abroad, you've been in, leading those programs. So we would love to have your support and your guidance on some of this. What do you
Well,
think?
I think it would be a wonderful opportunity. My challenge would be, why don't we start with Jamaica?
Yeah,
Why don't we start with something that's uh, close,
yeah.
accessible,
Mm-hmm.
and how could we use this platform that you guys have developed so well
Yes.
to be able to just test the waters? And what would that
Yes.
look like?
Yes. I love
I,
that.
I think so. We have Jamaica. My best friend is from Cuba and still
Mm-hmm.
has family in Cuba.
Yeah.
I
I
have
love
some other
people.
friends that are Belizean, and I
Yeah.
have some friends that are Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they are definitely part of their communities. I think we all have a network of individuals that we could just like, how do we do this? How do we make that? I even have there's a young lady, her and her husband, they're from Senegal. They have an African dress shop over on Market Street, and her
Mm-hmm.
husband actually goes back every 6 months in order to buy his fabric. He's a tailor, so he makes all the clothing in their shop, and he goes and buys the fabric from Senegal, and then they sell it here,
Right.
and they're amazing people.
So, that might be, I think that we've come up with some great ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Like always, we don't want to boil the ocean. We want
Yeah.
to come up with something that we can go with laser like precision.
Mm-hmm.
That
Hmm.
can be our beta test, the first
Yeah.
thing out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know I put you on the spot, Gilbert, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking we have Marie
Yeah.
Keller,
Yeah.
we have Jamaica Awareness.
Yeah.
We have the community here is
Yes.
very robust,
Mm-hmm.
and the business acumen is
Right.
really, really very, very high. So
Right.
you would not be by yourself.
Well, I'm open and I'm game to this because like I said earlier, we need fertile soil that's untapped to develop these and foster these opportunities. So I'm game. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Right.
You know,
And
And then I
Gloria,
see in the chat that Gloria
her
said
doing
her said her husband is from
from
Senegal.
Senegal.
right.
You know Gloria. She works over. She's one of the counselors, advisors over with Vermont Slauson.
Urban
Oh
League.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
and the
yeah. Hi
Urban League.
Gloria.
Yeah. So we
So yeah,
have a network of people
Yeah.
that and
but
my friend
again,
Denise Gordon, her husband is from Kenya, and she actually from Ghana. She actually spent about 5 to 6 years in as an expat in Ghana. So
Right.
there's a whole network of people around us that would
Hmm.
be able to open those doors and introduce us to those individuals.
Right.
And
And it isn't one size fits all.
right.
Mm-mm.
Like we said, we would have to start. We'd
Mhm.
have to have a lot of patience. We'd
Yes.
have to have some strategic partners who would be, and when I say interpreters, it's not about the language, it's about the culture,
Yes.
Mhm.
so that
Yes.
we would not have false starts.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I just know that there's so many people who would be willing to help. And then we have to identify where the monetary opportunities are, because
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of people have treated this as a way to take a trip,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mhm.
not a way to really do business.
Right. And
Mhm.
build
So,
relationships.
yeah,
Yeah.
we want to be
Mhm.
able to figure that part out.
Now,
I think we
Hames,
should definitely do that.
Keith Hames mentioned BLAP. I don't know what that means. BLAPP. Crystal, do you know what BLAP
I
is?
don't. Keith, are you
Keith,
there and you
can you
can tell us
explain
what that?
to us what BLAP is? Because that's perhaps another opportunity, another fertile
It looks
soil
like it might
that
be
we can
Black
tap into.
Latin Americans, maybe. I'll have to do some research to see
Yeah,
what
let
black
us know
means.
what that is, Keith.
Yeah, but I like that idea. I would, like I said, with the platform that we have, being
Yeah.
able to just be able to connect virtually
Yes.
and to
Right.
and be, that's the first level. Is media is always the first level,
Yeah.
right?
And
Well,
this
and through
this
media,
is
there's education. And
yeah.
because of the way that technology now works, we have an exchange
Yes.
of
Yeah.
information.
And
Ah,
remember, before this is the platform that we did not have, and
Right.
that would prevent us from access to certain opportunities. Now we do have it, Crystal. So
yeah.
this is just phenomenal, and I love a lot of what I'm hearing from Karen, man, because sometimes we need fresh eyes to kind of get us to
All
see
of
some
us do.
things.
Hmm.
And I'm loving this. This is just phenomenal. This is phenomenal. You've got me energized,
Oh,
energized and inspired.
That
that's what we want to do. We want to
yeah,
lift one another up. We
yes.
Yes,
want to encourage. And
yes,
then, because we're not going to use the term empower. We don't empower one another because we're
yes,
all powerful.
yes.
Mhm.
What we do is support
Mm-hmm.
and encourage
Yes.
and provide resources.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I would, that's the part right there, is being able to provide resources that we have and possess, and making sure we're bringing that to others. And I love this idea, because this is something I've been asking over and over again every year. Every time I get upset with all the racism in America, it's like, why can't I do business with somebody else?
Right, right. But see, Crystal, this is our 6th year. This is our 6th year anniversary. July will be our 6th
Mm.
year. I
Mhm.
think this would be a great platform for us to take next level on the 6th year of us doing this, the business zone. You see what I mean?
I think it's excellent. I think we're bridging those
International
gaps.
business.
Yeah,
International
yeah.
business. Yeah.
International business.
And my friend who's in Kenya and Ghana, he is definitely, I'm gonna have him on the show shortly. He definitely can tell you how he's done it. He's always thought that way. Um, when someone told him he couldn't do it, he did it. He is like, he was one of the first Black persons that I know that actually even created and went through the steps to become a public company.
I'm gonna
Oh,
reach out to all my Jamaican resources, man, and we're gonna get this going. Because I think if each and every one of us do some reach out to some outreach to a source or sources, this will really help a lot. This
Yeah.
is
oh,
really
it's
help.
powerful.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
and
so.
this is what Marcus Garvey was talking about in the 1800s. Remember when he started out with his newspaper company, then he has his
Right.
shipping company. This is what he was talking about: us reaching out to different nations, different states, and build our infrastructure companies. So
And
this
it
is
must have been right because they sure went after him.
yes, exactly, exactly. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's the and you know what? The one who the person who served him up, someone within his circle snitched on him.
Well, that's usually what happens. So, but
You know?
somebody else is encouraging him to snitch on him.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I think, but again, we're global now, so
yeah.
you can do so many things that not everybody, you're not under anyone's microscope. Which is why they even created a cryptocurrency so that we
Yeah,
can do what we need to do without you trying to stop us from doing it. And
yeah.
so I think this is that. So Karen, we're on board. We'll work out we have to work out the details, but I love that idea.
I
Well,
think,
no, what I want to tell you, Crystal and Gilbert, is I'm on board.
all
Okay.
right,
You
that's
guys,
what I'm
you
talking.
guys have the ability. Just tell me how to help.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. See, we have had so many people on Crystal for Women's History Month. And this culmination right here is just so perfect because this is taking us next level right now. Love
Right.
it, love it,
Yeah.
love it, Karen. Love it,
Yeah, last week
love
we
it.
had Michelle Moore Bell. She's celebrating her 40 years in the beauty industry. We
Hmm.
had this amazing young lady, her name is Selena Thomas. She is, and I think she was on earlier. She is actually running for city council in Santa Clarita,
Yes,
and she has she's the CEO of 6 Degrees HR Consulting, and amazing young lady. And she's Black and Filipino, making her way up in the Santa Clarita area. So we have just been very blessed with some incredible ladies.
yeah,
Um, and as I say for Black History Month, Black History
mhm,
is actually 365 days a year, and so is
yeah,
Women History 365 days. So this
hmm,
will not be the last time that
yeah,
we're going to celebrate.
yeah,
But far as the calendar goes, it's a great way to close out. But next month is Black Business Month, at least from our Muhammad Nazruddin standpoint.
yeah,
It was Black Business Month,
yeah.
and so for April, so we're going to be celebrating that as well.
We
So
we got to strengthen that 6 hours that the dollar stays in our community. Get it longer. We want to extend that
yeah.
more than 6 hours.
Yeah, we
More
need to
than 60.
adopt there's a book called The Jewish Phenomenon, and they have these 10
Yes,
principles that they function on
yeah,
for success in their whole entire community, and
yes.
we should adopt that for ours, because it's all
Right.
about self, it's all about education, it's all about
Hmm.
family, it's
Yeah.
all about acquiring portable wealth,
Hmm.
and understanding how money works.
Hmm.
That's business financial literacy,
Hmm.
being much more embracing that so that we can change. I don't know if we'll ever. I would like to say we're going to close that wealth gap, but it will be intentional. It's just
Right.
not something that's going to happen by itself
Yeah.
Right.
now.
Exactly.
We
So
will address it.
we will address it, right. So Karen, any parting words before we close out? Before you do that, we want to tell everyone you've been tuned in to the Business Zone with Christo and
Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic.
and we are so happy that you joined us today. Everyone that's watching, thank you for coming, Gloria and Keith, and I think it was
And
Michael,
Michelle was
Michelle,
there.
and so thank you guys, and those of you that are watching on YouTube and the other
Facebook.
my other Facebook pages. Thank you guys for tuning in. Karen's going to give us some parting words, and then we're going to close out and let you guys go enjoy your weekend. But you can always go to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. There's an archive of 6 years. I think at this point, Gilbert, we're at 547 or 49 different videos over
I
there.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And you guys can go to YouTube if you want to see any of these videos from when we first started, when we had our very first show. You guys can see the videos. Just go to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, that YouTube there, and you will see it.
And
It's
make sure you
amazing.
hit that little red button and
Yep.
subscribe so you'll
Subscribe.
get notified. Okay, Miss Karen, parting words.
Parting words. Well, stay safe.
Okay.
Know that all things are possible. It sounds corny, but love one another. When you see another Black person in the street, speak to them,
Yes.
you know, and always be on the lookout to provide that support.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because all things are possible.
All
Exactly.
things are possible. There
Exactly.
is guys, isn't she awesome? In that quiet voice she has, just
I'm
awesome.
telling you, man, speak softly and carry that big stick. Karen, in Jamaica, we call that your little but your talawa. Your little but your talawa. That means you speak softly and you carry that big stick.
I love it. I love
All
it.
right.
And you know, Gilbert, there's some people I have hit.
Yes. 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 We have to check them. We have to check them.
Sometimes.
You have to
Sometimes
check them. You know.
that's why I told you at the beginning of the show I could not have been Judge Jackson because I don't know. I would have been wanting to hit some folks with a big
You'd
stick.
have to check them on Crystal.
Yeah, that'd been it. My career would be over. So she's a better woman than I am because I wouldn't have been able to take that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I hear you.
But she'll take
So,
care of it now that she's on the Supreme Court.
so
Thank
you
you.
guys, you can tune in any Friday from 3 to 4 or 4:30 if it's interesting. Like we have interesting guests like Karen, then we'll extend it to 4:30. But we'll have you every Friday 3 to 4. Go to the Business Zone at YouTube, or you could go at Facebook. Make sure you subscribe so you can get the materials, get the information that we have for you. And
Thank you.
we want to thank our very, 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 very special guest, Miss Karen Blackwell, for coming in today, sharing her wisdom. Got me thinking a lot tonight, tomorrow, the next week, the next month, a lot about how I can coordinate these things and make them happen. So thank
We're
you.
going to make it happen.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to it. Thank you,
Okay.
Karen, my friend. My
Thank you.
sister. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Business
Gilbert,
Zone.
my brother, thank you.
Thank you so much, my sister. You've been there for me, and you just don't know how much I owe you. I owe you a lot, a whole lot.
I didn't know that. That's a great story, Gilbert.
Oh
That's
yes,
awesome. That's
man! I'm
awesome.
telling you, man. When I trekked here, she was the first person I saw in a position who could. Well, I didn't know she could help me, but she helped me. And she didn't even know me. She didn't even know me, and she had that calm demeanor when I met her. That same calm demeanor we're talking about, and just said, "Let me see what I can do for you. Let me make a few phone calls." That's what she said. Let me make a few phone calls. Next thing you know, I'm going to work the next 2 weeks. Going, dang, Karen.
Yeah, well,
It
that's
was
what
great.
It
reaching
was
back down,
wonderful.
and when you sit in a position of power, reaching back down to bring
Yeah,
up another. That's what that's
yeah,
all about,
yes.
right? And so many of us don't do that. So
Yeah, we
yes,
got to
so
send the elevator back
we
down,
got to
man.
send
And
the
that's
elevator
what she
back
did
down.
for me.
Yeah.
That's what she did.
Because you have
So,
to be blessed for why you have
yes,
to know that there's a reason why you've been given that opportunity, right?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yeah, but
Exactly.
you were ready, right? You were ready.
Yep,
You were
yep,
educated. You were willing.
yep,
You were
yep,
passionate. Those
yep.
are all the things that stand out.
Exactly. I was really ready to do this thing, and it was
Yes.
just so amazing. And I was telling, so I don't remember who I was telling, Karen. When I went to the mayor's office, they had the MBDA program through the Department of Commerce, right? And it was pretty stagnant for a lot of years before I got there. So they put me on that task to enroll and register a lot of minority and women-owned businesses in that program. And we exceeded the previous goals 300%. 300%. And the mayor gave me a plaque, in recognition of that. I didn't even expect it.
is
Didn't
that
expect.
program still
Fantastic.
going on or in some
Oh, the
version of it?
MBDA is still there. Yes, it's still
Okay.
there. The previous president did an executive order to stop it, but this new president reactivated it. And there are 10 agencies who received grants from the MBDA. I think it was in between October and December of last year.
Oh, okay.
They got anywhere from $300,000 to $400,000 to run their program.
Oh,
So
okay.
so that's still out there. And there's one of our small businesses in this neighborhood who got $100,000 from the MBDA.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
what's her name? Watt? Her name Pat, is it Pat Watts?
Oh, Pat
Oh yeah,
Watts.
yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
she
okay.
got
Okay.
100 grand for her program. She run that
Okay.
lighting company, right?
Yeah.
Yes, she does.
That,
She does energy audits.
yep, that's
She does
her.
energy audits. Yeah.
That's her. She benefited from the program, so we were so excited about that. So
Yeah,
we
Pat was
want to
on
do
our
more.
show as well back in the very
Yes.
early part of the when we first started. She was on because she was telling us her journey from Edison.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, she needs to be on this program.
Yeah, she was her journey from Edison, and Edison became her client,
Yes, yes,
and then she worked as a consultant for Edison.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
actually, there
yes,
are a lot of Edison consultants out there that work for Edison
yeah, yeah,
that used
yeah,
to work for Edison.
yes,
Yeah, which says a lot for them, right?
for
You
Yeah,
know.
it's
sure.
important. That's
Hmm.
really important.
Yes,
They're putting their money where they're like,
yeah,
not their mouth, but like where their PR is. They're
yes,
Right,
actually putting
exactly.
their money there. Mhm.
Yeah,
yes,
so that's really
exactly,
cool. Well, okay, well we have to
exactly.
celebrate Miss Pat. I did read that. I did see that
Oh yes,
on
she,
Facebook and
yeah,
LinkedIn. I saw. I think I swear I saw it.
yes, she benefited from the program. So when they were talking about eliminating that program, we said no, 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 no. You know, small businesses need that program. So
Yeah. All righty then, everyone. Thank you so much, Karen. We're gonna close the show, and we so appreciate you. Thank you for closing out Women's History Month with us.
It was an honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen,
Thank
I have a new level of respect for you.
you. And you already respected her highly
I
before.
already respected her. So all this wisdom, man, I'm telling you, she got. Have you written any books yet, Karen? Because we gotta get some of this knowledge out there.
Is that a goal?
I don't know.
Well, okay, so I'm working on a book, and the concept is 90-day strategies to scale your business like a boss. Right?
Oh
Oh,
wow,
okay.
I like
Okay.
that already.
Yeah, 90-day strategies, and I've been the you know how I operate. So what I've
Yeah,
done is that I wrote it, and then I've been doing beta testing with some clients. Like, does it
Okay.
work? And
yeah,
are they really increasing their revenue? Because I
yeah,
don't want to tell people you can do this based on an intellectual idea.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so one of my clients has been using this, and so far we have increased in 120 days, we increased their revenue by 40,000. So we're
Oh
Oh,
like
wow,
okay.
really we
that's
are
good stuff.
so serious about
That's
this.
good stuff right there.
It's good stuff, but again, when you have people who are willing to put the time in,
Yes,
because you can tell somebody anything, it doesn't matter.
yes,
Hmm.
It
yes,
really depends on if it resonates and
yes.
if they're willing to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're willing to do the work, I want to have strategies that produce results.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right.
That's
See,
good. Good.
Crystal, she's perfect for the business zone, man. You see that?
Yeah.
She is
Well, because a lot of
perfect.
people just write a book and they don't really know if the theories actually work. They just write the book.
Exactly.
I like the
Yeah,
fact that she
yeah.
tested her
No, you have
MVP.
to. You have to, man.
You have
You
to
have
make
to do your
sure.
feasibility studies and your testing. So I love it.
Yeah.
All
Awesome.
right. Well, thank
Well,
you guys, and again, see you guys next week, next Friday at 3 on the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert,
Yeah.
and we're out.
we're out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program and control. As a small biz pro, I saw we grow, using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
All righty.